My video's still a little weird, but I guess it'll be all right.
That's you put the noise in the background.
What it sound like?
It stopped now. Okay, good. Okay, ladies. I want to say good afternoon. And first and foremost, I want to apologize for the late start. You know, every time you do something to change the world, or you try to do something positive, you're going to get some opposition. But I want to welcome you. This is your first time to Kitchen Table Conversations. I am Carla Scipio, one half of the Nurse Bosses. We are here, we're having an intergenerational conversation amongst women about hot topics that affect, if not every woman, affect most women. And today, I believe that this is our fourth in a series. We come on every Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a bi-weekly event, so it's every other Sunday. When we get together in our own space, be it at home, be it at work, wherever you are, when you're in your own space, and we just talk. I encourage people to bring their own favorite beverage. So it can be water, it can be juice, it can be whatever it is, and we're just gonna talk, share our stories of triumph. We're gonna share words of inspiration and encouragement. Today, I'm really excited because I have one of my, I have so many titles for her, but since I can call her so many different things. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to let her introduce herself. Before we do that, we're going to just do a little icebreaker. We're just going to share, our names, where we're from, what we do. And I know you guys have seen the name of our today's conversation, the topic of today's conversation, which is leaving a legacy and community advocacy. So tell me why you guys are here, what's your name, where you're from, what you do, and why you're here. 3 things about yourself. And I think I'm going to start first. My name is Carla Scipio. I am a nurse educator, been a registered nurse for over 30 years. My passion is helping young women and girls through health and wellness education. And I want to talk about legacies because as a mom and also as a grandmother, it's so important that we leave positive legacies and not negative legacies for those that are following us. And so let's just say, I live in sunny Atlanta. I was raised in New York, and I'm an island girl. I'm sure you can tell I have multiple accents. So it depends on what's going on with me and how I feel. I'll let you know. So go ahead, who's gonna go next? Don't everybody go at one time.
Who's here?
Who's here? We have Miss Curtis, we have Beverly White, we have you. That's like 4 of us right now.
Miss Beverly, would you like to go next?
I was just unmuting. My name is Beverly White. I'm kind of in a noisy area, so I was trying to wait until I got, out. But I'm Beverly White. I am here. I saw it and it looked very interesting. Communities are so important, and I love being an educator. So one of the things about being an educator is that you never stop learning. So I'm sure I'm going to learn something new today. So just glad to be here and look forward to this conversation.
And we're glad that you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Certainly. Thank you for inviting.
Miss Naquancia.
Hi.
Hello. Working mama, huh?
Ma'am?
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, my name is Naquancy
No, put it
Curtis.
down.
I have an upcoming business called Cyclone Nectar, and I am located in Albany, Georgia.
Well, thank you.
Welcome, welcome. We thank you. We thank you for coming out. And Miss E?
Okay, I was just checking to make sure that was everybody.
That was
Okay, so
everybody.
hi, my name is Evangela Childs. I am a mom. I am a daughter. I am a wife. I am an entrepreneur. I am your sister, best friend, and accountability partner. I help other women develop businesses. And I also have a mentorship program. It's a movement called Bomb Mom International, where we help other moms develop the entrepreneur within. And I also have a childcare center where I help other families build the legacy in which they want to leave for their children. So that's me. I can't
I'm
hear
sorry,
you.
guys. I didn't realize I was on mute. Had to when you multitask as a mother, you do so many things for your children. So I have my attached to the hip. I'm also the nanny. So I have a 3-year-old that is having a temper tantrum. But that's why. Well, this is one of the reasons why we have kitchen table conversations where we talk about being a cheerleader, and we also talk about advocating for support for other women. So instead of tearing down other women, we build them up. If they need support, we're the safety net, we're the support network for them. So actually, I met Evangela on Facebook, and the conversation, I think somebody had a post and she shared her bits and pieces of it, and I liked it, and we started going back, and we went back and forth for a whole day, and then we realized that we had certain things that we shared in common. And then we started talking, and we've talked on the phone for probably going on 2 years now. We've talked on the phone, we've talked in video. We've communicated. So it took, and I realized that there's so much to her. I call her a visionary, an old soul, definitely a midwife. She can talk on any subject, and I've seen the journey from that she's been on this last year and a half. So I am extremely proud when we talk about legacies, and she stepped up and she wanted to talk about, she asked to talk about legacies. Someone in their early 30s already talking about establishing a legacy and changing their community. We got to talk about it. We got to share the view. You don't find many young people her age talking about leaving legacies for their families. So Evangela, I want to start off by asking you, I'm a storyteller. I love listening to stories. I love to hear people's stories because I believe that they're words of inspiration, encouragement. It also lets you know that you are not the only person going through. When you hear somebody else's story, you're like, dang, my life is good. So I just want you to share a little bit about your background and why you felt like you had to be that change in the community.
Okay, so pretty much I grew up weird. So I grew up in foster care mostly. My mother did get us back out of foster care, but it was a weird situation because she was more so, a sister than a mother. And so, which is the reason why I decided to create Bomb Mom, because my mother had a lot of aspirations and a lot of goals, but my mother passed 3 years ago without accomplishing any of those goals. And so I wanted to essentially rob the grave of other moms' dreams, because I would see her push for what she wanted, but the world was so stacked against her. And there weren't like many networks of support when it came to women actually coming together and saying, hey, I see what you're going through and I want to help you, move past that obstacle that has been obviously placed in your life. I've been in positions where people could help and didn't and chose not to, just because they felt like, she was a woman and she would, I did it by myself, so you can do it by yourself. And I feel like that type of connotation, it was just too much. It was like, why would you, just because you struggle, not help the next mom because you struggled through it so she can do it by herself? I'm an advocate for each one teach one, each one reach one. And so, and I believe that's pretty much why, is because I feel like if I can, then I must, And so that was the birthing of Bomb Mom International. I Am Legacy was essentially because I saw a lot of, women going through whatever trial they were going through. And I felt like busy working moms just couldn't, they didn't have the luxury of time to slow down, to absorb whatever knowledge that was around them necessarily. Sometimes I know for me, I was taken out of the busy go to go. Like I was essentially forced to learn everything that I, have come to learn now. And I feel like that knowledge of certain things in the world, certain, especially like generational wealth and things like that, are conversations that we just don't naturally have. I believe, entrepreneurship has become sort of a trend, but the struggle of the entrepreneur is left. Like you just pretty much are playing a guessing game unless somebody tells you otherwise. And I feel like entrepreneurship is the way out of poverty for so many of us. I was just going over some research, and pretty much, the majority, 61% of all businesses women, yet over half of them fail within the first year and the other half within 5, and they're non-existent almost in 10. Like you have like less than 10% left after 10 years. And I feel like, so apparently we have reached the thought process of, oh, we need to start a business and we need to leave a legacy for our children. And we want to be able to pass something down to the next generation, but we haven't learned the skill sets and the tools within. And sometimes it's not even the skill sets, it's just the support. It's just the support. If you had enough people supporting you, then you make it, because the entrepreneur's journey, 85% of it is mental. It's the mental struggle. And if you have cheerleaders in your corner that are committed to saying you can do it, I call you all the time. I'm like, you know what? They about to drive me crazy. And so, you sometimes you don't need necessarily somebody to tell you intellectually what to do, but you do need those people in your corner to support you emotionally and spiritually, to kind of push you forward. And I feel like that's definitely needed. And so that came from, my childhood of having to see mom struggle and having to see other women struggle. Hi, Miss Katrina. And going through the struggles that, I feel like not necessarily that all women go through, but all women go through a form of struggle, because that's just life. And being born in America as a Black woman is not easy, I don't believe, for anybody. So, I feel like we should all be helping each other instead of, tearing each other down.
True, most definitely, definitely. Tell us a little bit more details. What does Bomb Mom do for other moms? What is Bomb Mom?
So Bomb Mom International is like a support movement. It stands for business oriented, motivated, and beautiful. So we embrace each other's inner and outer beauty. We try to keep each other motivated. As far as business oriented, I believe that every mom has a business, whether or not she has an LLC or C Corp or anything like that. If you run your household, you have a business to run. And so I pretty much have a group of women that support each other. They we learn different things as far as, business credit, how to leverage finances, how to go out into the community and advocate for your family, advocate for what your community needs. You know, we give back to the community. We just did a back to school drive last year. We do, you know, we just gave out some food, you know, those type of things are, you know, I feel like the basics, you know, we cover the basics, you know, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs for all of those that that studied some type of sociology in school. But we pretty much, once we assess the basic needs of the mom, so she doesn't have to figure out, you know, where the next meal is coming from, because, you know, you're not really trying to learn how to build a business and learn about generational wealth when you're trying to figure out your next meal. So we try to cover all bases.
So I see your passion is moms. Your passion is women, children, ultimately family. Why women and children?
Because I feel like ultimately it's the women, and it's the women, the moms, that have the strongest ability to impact change in the overall world. We're the ones with the direct connection to the children. We're the one raising them. We're the one putting in their values. You know, what they believe essentially will stem from their mama. You know, whatever we tell our children from the mom, they will believe it. And so if you tell them they can, then they will. You know, they rise to our expectations. I see it all the time where, you know, especially being in the early childhood field, I have moms that come to me and they say, oh, my child won't do blah, 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 whatever it is. They don't eat broccoli, something simple, you know? And so, but if we are in the classroom and we're collectively telling the children, oh, well, this is great, this is good for you, this will help you be stronger, blah, blah. And so, you know, those children, they start to believe that, and they want to try the broccoli because it makes them feel like, hey, I'm doing something good for myself. So it's just those inner beliefs that we try to change. We try to change the inner negative talk of the mom and the child. You know, so many moms have been told that they can't do this and they can't do that by whoever in the world. And we try to change that inner dialogue so that that spirit that they have within them don't pass down to that child. We try to nip that in the bud.
So what are legacies? I know there are good and there are bad legacies. Let's talk about bad legacies first. What are your thoughts about bad legacies? And share some of the things that we consider bad legacies that we don't want to pass down. I definitely don't want to pass down to my children and my grandchildren and those to follow.
Well, I mean, I hate to use the term bad legacy, but we all know, like, we go through things generationally, right? So, you know, this mom was abused and her grandmother was abused, and it was like a generation of being quiet about it, or not even just so much the physical abuse, but spiritual abuse or spiritual neglect. Or you have, you know, a generation of alcoholics in your family, or you have, you know, a generation of poverty, you know, not being able to provide for your family, everybody living the same project, you know, never moving out, never exposing themselves to new knowledge, new information, new people, you know, just those. We want to break that. Like, you know, I was just in a meeting with a parent and I was telling them, the way the world is built, you could literally become a millionaire in a project. Like they were saying, you know, the way this system is set up, it is set up for you to ultimately fail if you don't have the foreknowledge, is what I was trying to explain to her. It was like, you could become a millionaire in your credit and never have to report a dime. You know how the food stamps and, you know, your housing service and all of that, they didn't understand how they could move from that and not have those benefits taken away from them when they were just trying to build and get out. Like, I had a mom tell me, you know, she got a $1.50 raise at her job and they cut her food stamps in half. And she was like, well, how am I supposed to be able to get out and have a different story, legacy for my family? And every time I try to get a leg up, I get knocked back down. Well, the reality is you just got to know how to play the game. It's the same. When it comes to those kind of things, you got to know how to speak their language. You have to report income. You don't have to report credit. You have A1 credit. You have $1 million on a credit card. They can't touch it. You know, it's just those conversations, that knowledge that you get exposed to, that we could just pass and share with each other, so that we won't get stuck. We won't get stuck in that cycle of poverty. You know, once you got $1 million in credit, you can do something.
I know. So we're talking about intergenerational. I know you said you don't want to use the word bad, but we talked about that, you know, alcoholism being handed out per generation. We talk about poverty, especially with women, single women. You know, there's so many things that we can talk about that's negative, but then we have to also talk about the knowledge, wisdom and knowledge. How do people gain the knowledge about what's good, what's bad, because, or even the mindset? Because, you know, you have people say, well, hey, my mother was a diabetic, so I'm a diabetic, and, you know, that's just what it is. So some people say, well, I had one friend married someone from New York, and she was like, my mother lived in an apartment, my grandmother lived in an apartment, we've lived in an apartment all our lives, so it's okay to live in an apartment. I don't want to move buy a house. Why do you want to buy a house? So I think the dialogue is, how do we change people's mindset? How do we get them to understand what was bad and what's good? And we're going to talk about good, but how do we get them to change? And you guys, this is a conversation. I would encourage you to jump in and add your 2 cents, your 3 cents. None of us are experts, but we've lived life, and we want to make sure that we pass this information down to the next generation. So, what are your thoughts? I'm sure, you know, someone here can identify with the fact that you know, my grandfather, my great grandfather drank. And so, you know what? Some of his kids didn't drink, but their children drank. And they could drink you under the table. And they boast about that. So how are we changing mindsets? Because I feel like, you know, some of us have that knowledge. Some people don't mind changing and helping in the community, but, you know, a lot of us still have that crab in the barrel.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
So, I mean, for me, my thing is people's mindset. I don't know if y'all ever heard the story about the dog that was laying on a nail, and the person asked, you know, why is the dog laying on a nail? Because it don't hurt enough. You know, because some people are just not going to change until they just realize, you know, nope, enough is enough. I'm done being in pain. It's time to get up and it's time to move, you know. But when they go to move, it's who they come to. You know, do I go to somebody, you know, who is in the community, who can I go and talk to? And some people, I know for me, when I first decided to get up off the nail, the people that I went to go ask weren't willing to share the information that allowed them to move from point A to point B. You know, then I ran into people, you know, they was like, oh, well, you know, in order for me to teach you, it'll be $3,500. I'm like, yeah, 35, okay. You know, it was like, she does not have $3,500.
That's true. That's so true.
And so, you know, of course, I would never know. So the thing I did was go to the library. You know, I went to the library and went from there and started reading. I came across, don't laugh at me, but I watched the episode of Oprah and I saw Robert Kiyosaki. And I read his book, and I suggest everybody who's on a new entrepreneur journey to go read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And after you're done, do just like I did and read all the books in the back that he recommends, and then go from there. That's essentially what I did, and that's how I ended up where I am today, really. Yeah, I think that I'm a very, very big advocate on reading. I know some people, you know, they can't read, and I understand that. They have audio books. They have people that just don't like to read. You know, you can do the video book, the audio book, but just expose yourself to people that don't think like you. I think we're all Black women here. And so I decided to go and read every book that had a white man on it, because I remember that joke that's not really a joke that said, every time they want to hide something from us, they put it in a book. So I decided to just embrace that truth and go ahead and read everything that I could. But I'm a reader. So, it was like I had a collection of every bit of maybe 1,500 romance novels. And so I gave all of those books away and I sold some of them, and then I restocked my library with things that would like feed my mind. Now I still read some of my commercial books, which I call them my commercial breaks, my romance novels, but essentially my library is full of inspirational stuff. I read, Lisa Nichols, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, like all of those people, like, Anthony Robbins. I got a couple of TD Jakes in there. It's just, you have to expose yourself beyond your comfort level. Like, I know sometimes we just don't want to read those types of books, but essentially that's why you plug into people that are willing to just share the knowledge that they have shared, that they have learned. That's why, I took it upon myself to share that information freely, but it's not necessarily easy to come by from a lot of people. We just have to be willing to have the conversation enough to where you can find somebody that's willing to pour into you, because not everybody is just going to open up and and talk to you. But how we change the mindset is just keep having the conversation, keep talking about it, keep sharing the stories, keep sharing the progress, and be willing to be exposed. Be willing to share your weakness, be willing to share your pain points, and not just that story that gets commercialized. Oh, they were once homeless, because it seemed like to me every celebrity was homeless. They got a homeless story, or they worked as a waiter at some point, and it's just all of those stories. They kind of Cinderella it, but don't really tell like that point of struggle. Like, to be homeless is not cute. It's not cute. To be homeless means you're struggling, you cold outside, you don't know where your next meal coming from. For some people that mean you legit ate out of trash cans. Like, Eric Thomas says that all the time. He ate out of trash cans and he had no business eating out of trash cans, but that was just his mentality. His mindset at the time was, this is it, until he decided to push forward.
I want to add to that about changing the mindset. I do some things with Karen Leaf. I don't know if you guys have heard of her, but Dr. Karen Leaf talks about neurotransmitters, and basically that's the pathways of a person's brain. So how we gather those mindsets are things that are thought over and over again. So if we want to really change, we have to change the thinking. So that's what I like that Evangela said about, talking about it. Because as we keep talking and talking, we end up, changing getting the information. But the thing of it is that if we really want to walk to the next step and do it, then what we're going to have to do is put some action behind it. The one that I really like that grabbed my attention is praying. We tell people all the time, I'm gonna pray for you. So every time that a person says, I'm gonna pray for you, and then they don't pray, then what they're putting in their thought pattern is that, that's just another word to say. And so I'm not really doing it. I'm not really praying. I'm just telling you I'm gonna pray for you. So one of the things that Dr. Carolyn Lee suggests is, as soon as you say that you're going to do something, do it. And that will then start to get you into the mode of some of those things that you really don't know how to do yet. You'll start making little small steps to start changing the pattern. The pattern got to change if we want to walk into something different, because like they say, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again. So when you say you're going to pray for somebody, carrying on with her example, immediately you pray. And that will change that neurotransmitter, or that trench that you built behind that thought process. And sometimes we need people just to help us do that, because we don't know how to put the action to it. That's my spiel on that one.
Go ahead, Katrina.
I was just, when I was listening to Evangela, I'm sorry, am I saying your name right?
Evangela.
Evangela. So, Evangela, you came up with some great suggestions. My thing is that you're well read, you have a lot of knowledge. Have you ever thought about putting that knowledge into a how-to book that's very simple and concise to help people make those changes and make those moves that you have?
And Evangela?
Okay, I was muted.
Yeah.
How you doing, Miss Carla? Odom, I didn't see you, but
Hi.
but yes, so I have Miss Carla Scipio #2. I, I have, yes, ma'am. I've been working on it for the longest because a lot of people, they say, you know, like the books that they have read are like way over their head. They like, but when you explain it, it just seems easy as pie. And you know, but for the most part, like honestly, when you in it and when you live in it every single day, it's kind of hard to slow down. It's hard to just slow down and find that time. But you know, I am gifted to have people like Miss Carla in my life that tell me, baby, you better slow down. So yeah, I have been learning not just pushing and being just business forward, but being, you know, spirit mindful. And to speak on, I believe that was Miss Beverly that was saying, you know, act fast and pray. I just wanted to retell that story about going and reading those books. That it was a prayer that came first before I decided to go to the library, and Robert Kiyosaki's book was dropped in my pathway. I actually got his book for free. But yeah, so prayer does change things, and prayer moves, okay. So but you know, people learn that through experience, but I definitely I'm working on that book, Miss Katrina.
Okay.
I'm working on
You have a lot of great ideas, and you know, just from your information, just I mean, you giving me ideas. I'm like, well, okay, let me learn from this little mama that's got her stuff together. So I'm
No.
like, I'm serious. I feel like, you know what, just do it. You don't think about the whole big book. Take it in little bitty pieces. You know, first chapter 1. Why are you writing a book? To share your knowledge, your information, you know, to inspire and mentor someone up. And then, you know, go from there. Just do. You remember when we were in school? I don't know if y'all did it, because you like what, generation millennial or something like that. But we used to do outlines. When we did a book report, we had to do it. We reread the book, then we did an outline on what we were going to write about. So, you know, kind of take it from that. Take that experience and knowledge that you have and the readings that you've done, and just, you know, kind of put it out there and little bits at a time. I got somebody I can hook you up with if you really want to write a book, because my cousin Tanyika, that was on here, she has like 3 books that she's written.
Oh, okay, the
So,
nigga dedicated.
and it's not expensive. She can tell you how to do it, you know, on the budget.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
great ideas.
Thank you.
So one thing I wanted to hit on and go back. Well, 2 things rather. You know, we tend to in our past conversations, and even today is when we really start talking about the spiritual aspect of things. And I feel like that's one of the conversations that we need to have. When you talk about prayer, prayer changes things. You know, we begin with a prayer, because it's all ideas and all the information is not from us. You know, God drops in our spirit. And like, you know, God led you to the library, and he gave you that opening right there. So I feel like we need to continue to look at the whole person, the mind, the body, the spirit, and we need to address the needs, because how else are we going to bring about change? Because you can change, you can make them go to do something, but they won't understand why they're doing it. But not, and the second thing was when you shared the wisdom about who you followed as it relates to knowledge. I'm not saying that the white Anglo-Saxon has all the knowledge, but it's good to understand their mindset and why they do things and how they do things, because that's going to help us as a people to get to where we need to be. So now we've talked about the bad legacies and breaking generational curses and not want to continue, have that continue in our bloodline. Let's talk about the good legacies. What's a legacy? Why should we leave legacies?
Well, I believe that, a legacy is just that it's physical and it's mental, right? You want to be able to leave, a legacy of triumph. You want to be able to leave a legacy of joy, love, all of those warm and fuzzy things that, people look back on and say, hey, this is the story of my family. We want to be able to leave that, but we also cannot neglect the fact that the Bible says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his child. And so we have to strive in order to do that. As far as, the financial aspect of leaving the legacy, I just feel like, it's just simply, if you've lived a wise life, and I'm getting it straight biblical. Okay. So if you lived a wise life, you should have something stored, and you should have something to be able to leave, the next generation. So that story, that legacy of struggle gets broken, even if you only have, a couple $1,000s to leave that next generation, that's something more than they had. And, I started my first business off of $1,000. And I mean, if somebody would have left me $1,000, if somebody would have left me the $1,000, I didn't have to work for it, and just told me how to be a good steward, then, I believe that could have started me on my journey a lot, faster, but we're just behind the ball. It's like the other families and other, groups of people, they've left, houses. So their homeless rate is lower. Some people, they're living in, grandmama's old house, and they work at McDonald's or are unemployed, but they're not homeless because somebody left them a home, and it just makes our numbers look so extreme because, we are generational renters, or, we live, in the project. You can't pass down a project home, but you can pass down how to apply for the application. And that's essentially what people are doing. They're like, hey, when you turn 18, I'll show you how to fill out the form. And it's just that type of that type of information just needs to be, okay, well, I wish somebody would have had a conversation with me, when I was younger, of how to buy my first home, how to find a good realtor, how to do the audit on the house, how to do, how to invest in my first home, how to save for it, how to, build that, what is credit, how do I get a good credit score, to get a house, telling me that I didn't need the best credit score, a lot of my realtor friends now, we joke about the fact that, really you can have a crap credit score and still get a house these days, and people are paying $800, $900, $1,100 in rent, not realizing they could pay, $600 in a mortgage, maybe a couple hundred, 800, including in insurance and all of that. But you could be paying that same amount of money and building equity for your family. And that's just, it's just a different type of lifestyle.
Well, I really love how you just said, just leaving something different behind. It doesn't have to all, like you said, love and peace, those kind of things. Because it reminded me, I wrote a book. I was divorced in 2016, and I wanted to share that journey so other people would know what it was about. In the midst of writing it, God told me something about myself that was very important that I needed to hear and needed to make some changes on. And that was that a lot of what Miss Carla just said, we are more than just spirit. We are more than just a mind. We're the physical as well. We're all three of those parts. And so I had spent a lot of time on the spiritual part and telling my children about that and letting them know what to do spiritually. That's really good because it should be the first. But I wasn't like sharing, the fact that, okay, we need to keep our bodies healthy. So we need to do that too. We need to make sure that we're doing things for our own mental health to keep it positive. So just being that well-rounded person, around the next generation has been so beneficial for me. I have children who now want to drink water instead of drinking punch because I do that, and it's really cute to see, and I get so tickled, to see them wanting to do those things. My children are older now, and I do get to see a lot of the fruit that I place inside of them. But the legacy doesn't just stop at the physical part. It doesn't stop at the mind part, mind, will, and emotions. It doesn't stop just at the spiritual. It's all three parts. And I think we could benefit in our communities from, making sure that we teach that, do it all. Do whatever you can to leave something positive. And so, I've been doing the nonprofit thing since 1999. So the financial part was really, to be honest, I don't even know how I've existed from 1999 to now besides God. But when I was talking to God about it, as I was writing that book, here's the thing. I started doing real estate because I wanted to make sure that I did have some monies to not only leave behind for my children, but my parents have been awesome to me. I wanted to help my parents. I wanted to be there if they needed me. I had a lot of friends who their family, their mom or their dad, they've gone through it, Alzheimer's or different kind of things, and I wanted to be the person to actually help. So my parents, so that's another reason that I did the real estate. But we have to make sure we're doing all parts. All parts.
I just wanted to kind of piggyback on that. The thing is that as Black people, we don't teach our children about finance and saving and retirement and making sure that we have that nest egg for if and when we get sick or whatever. So I think that is a conversation that white people have, or other minorities, other races and ethnicities have with their children. They talk to them about, investing and how to manage a checking account and how to save money and do all of those kind of things. And I think that is an education that we need to pass down. And I didn't get it from my mom, but I got it through other people that I knew that, I would ask the question, hey, how did you do that? And there again, Ms. Evangelina, this is a good way for you to kind of outline those things, those conversations you need to have with your kids. Because, I just know when I was growing up, I knew about a checking account, but my mom didn't have a checking account. She just, she went somewhere and got her check cashed, and it was basically cash only. She paid her bills with that, and that was the end of it. And as far as credit was concerned, it was like you went to a store, because we lived in a small town. So you went to a store, you had store credit. So, you went to the store or whatever, furniture store or appliance store, and that's where you got your appliances, your furniture, and you paid them. So when I grew up, that was a learning curve for me as far as managing my checking account, doing direct deposit, all that stuff I kind of learned on my own. And as a result of my mistakes, because I made many of them, I passed that information to my son and my daughter. As start retirement savings early. A little bit goes a long way. And if you have a employer that matches your what you put in the max. I said, the thing is that we're always worrying about what we have right now. But just trying to make sure that we think about the future. And what's $30 or $40 or $50 in the bank, in your savings account or in your retirement fund, and not in your check? Because if it's not there, you don't miss it. I don't. If it's gone out of there, I'm just looking at what I can cash and use right then. So, those are the things that I feel like that we need to pass down to our children, is how to do those things. insurance, those type things that really help us. Because the last thing you want is somebody to die and they don't have insurance, and then you're doing a GoFundMe and all this other kind of stuff, and a bake sale, a barbecue. So we need to help our kids in the next generations know how to look forward to the future, and we have to kind of like disseminate that information down.
One of the things I want to kind of like piggyback on what Katrina just said, coming from a family where we had to learn because of the mistakes that were made. But I think one of the things that we have to understand is, and we have to bring about this change, the system was set up to make us fail.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't privy to that information about investing, how to save. The entire system was set up to keep us in a certain place. But now we're supposed to bring, with the knowledge that we have, with the knowledge that we have to make that change. We have to bring about that change. So when Evangela writes her books, those are some of the things that we need to talk about. We need to talk about how the system has set us up to fail and how we can circumvent or we can do away, and how we can, as a community, that's one of the things they said, divide and conquer. When you talked about the different ethnicities and people who come together and accomplish a lot, a lot of them came with wealth. A lot of them came and then they got together and they had support. We have never gotten our 40 acres on a mule. So we've had to start to build with nothing. We had nothing to build on. Some of us use the word lucky, and I don't use the word lucky. Some of us were able to build on different things, but a lot of us weren't. And a lot of us don't know that. We don't have that wisdom. We don't know where we came from. We don't know our history. And I'm with this being Women's Her Story Month, I'm definitely a proponent of, just like, Evangela said, that how she gained the knowledge by reading. Y'all know I read everything. Well, who know me know I read everything. I even read the toilet tissue wrapper. They laughed at me as a kid, but that's how I learn stuff. So I indebted to Evangela, because she tell me stuff that, that I don't know. And I feel like, we're mentors, we're mentees, that we can learn so much from the younger generation. But like you said, it's our responsibility to learn and to share that knowledge, not just with our family, our blood family, but with those around us. Because, Titus talks about the older women pouring. Okay, I got it. The older women pouring into younger women. Gosh. So that's really important. Really important for us to do. So, the child came and she said something to me and just threw me off.
All the way up.
There was one other point that I was gonna make, but that's one of the things that we need to pay attention to as well when we want to create change or be the change.
Yeah.
To them. So, we have to be mindful of all of that stuff. So, Evangela, I know that community advocacy. I'm thinking about I Am Legacy Learning Academy. How do you advocate for change in your community?
Well, the way I advocate for change, well, the entry into this funnel, and I'm sorry because I don't even know what other word to use for it, but the first point of contact for people, for me, right, is usually, on Facebook, or usually Facebook, because she don't really do Instagram. I know I'm millennial, sorry. But usually the point of entry is Facebook for me, or actually out in the community, really truly boots to the ground, knocking on doors and meeting people and getting them to, come to different workshops and, join, calls like this. And I'm in so many groups. And, I'm in groups from the bottom up and the top down. And what I mean is, those people that are already aware of how to make change in the community and how to effectively do it. I'm in a lot of those groups, and I'm in groups where, it's just the everyday mom that's trying to figure out how to get it done. So I'm having conversations every single day on both ends and trying to figure out how to bridge this gap, because there is a definite gap, because the higher ups ain't asking the mamas below, and the mamas below don't know who to go talk to on the higher ups. And so I'm trying to, create that dialogue between the two. And, is one of my pet peeves and one of my points of frustration when the higher up people, and I don't mean higher up as in, somebody who's above another person, but I mean those people who are decision makers and they are influencers, and how our everyday life goes by. They influence the laws, they do the petitions, they do those types of things. And so, they pretty much, they end up creating the rules in which we have to live by. And so, it's just a hard dialogue to have when, I'm me. And I'm pretty much a disruptor. And so, whenever something don't sound right, it don't sit well, I'll throw something out and let people have it. But I don't do that, to create negative energy, although it results in that sometimes. Sometimes people just need to, get out of their normal thought process of thinking. And, I pretty much move in a group like that. But it's definitely, talking to both ends of the spectrum and trying to connect them. That's my biggest point of advocacy. But I also do one-on-ones. I'm in my office every single day talking to parents and teaching them on how to do things. We host workshops here on the weekends, just pretty much teaching people what they don't even know that they need to know. I don't even say, I pretty much have like a mom's group meeting, or I'll do like a call and we'll all hop on. I haven't been able to do as much outreach as I want to, but like when we do things like we just did for Random Acts of Kindness Day, and we gave out food to the community and where our center is. And I had one-on-one conversations with the moms, telling them what we do and how we can help them in whatever they're trying to do. Because a lot of times people that are not part of the powers that be club, they kind of back off from people who they feel like make them feel inferior. And I don't want to do that to people. I don't want to come across as I can help you do this and now you need to listen to me, because she is not her. So and so I try to just talk to people like wherever they are in the world. My grandmother taught me to always be willing to share information. And I try to, that's part of the legacy that she left with me. And I try to embrace that legacy and, and duplicate it, with people. When I teach somebody something and I know I taught them something, I ask them to go and teach, somebody else what you didn't know. Because like when she was speaking on buying a house, I just helped somebody that didn't look like me buy a house, and the way I did that was I taught her credit card intervals, because she had the money coming in, she just couldn't see it, but she was paying her bills wrong. But you don't know you're paying your bills wrong. You just know when I get my money, I spend it on my bills. You cannot do that when you're trying to save for a house. And that's just something, I can't really get into all of that right now, but it's a way to do things. And if we haven't been taught, we just essentially Black women, we just left hanging. And I feel like that's another reason why I told you, Miss Carla, is I don't feel like we are at the point where we need to be, coaches. And it's the reason why I pulled off from doing that, because we have so many, I have a coaching personality. That's not what I'm saying, not sharing knowledge, but charging each other, whatever the latest guru said you should charge, because that's where your worth is. I don't feel like we've reached that level in the community to do that, because it's so many of us behind. Yes. Now, when you got 60% of your race in the middle class and up, then you can charge for information. But it's not enough of us with the information to charge the $3,500 prices and the $10,000, retreats and all of this foolery that the latest guru, when they're gonna say, oh, well, for a limited amount of time, this is $199. I'm like, okay, so they're not charging the $3,500 that they're telling you to charge, but they're saying that their item is $199 on sale. And I'm like, that's the easiest thing. And I feel like people always need somebody to feed their spirit, to tell them they're valuable. And I feel like if we do that naturally, then we'll stop falling for all of these marketing ploys and just share information and stop attaching our value to the information and just share it because we believe in the legacy that our community can build if given the chance and opportunity.
Preach, preach, preach.
Yes.
I was trying to type it in and then trying to see, to speak on it at the same time, because I remember, I know that, well, you and I have had so many conversations as it relates to everything. But for me, trying to figure out, I was like, okay, God, how can I utilize my education and my experience to do something for the people that you called me to my audience? And I remember when I first came out, people were trying to charge me $1,500 for this, $3,000 for that. And I'm like, wait a minute. I think I felt I was gullible for one, and I realized I walked away and everything they taught me, I could do it for myself. You see so many people talk about this ebook here, this ebook there. And when you go, it's like 30 pages or nothing. So we're preying on people who cannot afford to pay for it, who desperately needs it. And that's how we have to teach, like you said, from the ground up. From the ground up. And then when you build up enough people, then you can have the money. But we're not even there yet. Mm-mm. We're not even there yet. And it's so much, they have us so focused on things that are non-essential. I saw a video today on Instagram, and this white man, and I'm being real, and his family were trying to get into a store. And he was talking about his rights and my rights and it seems like our rights are more important than the safety of others and the concern of others. So we're going to demand, this is what we want. So I think we have to come away from that individual stuff and focus more so on the community. And if not them, then us. And it's not later, but it's now. And we need more, I feel like more conversations like this. And we've just started in bringing in the younger people. And we got to figure, and I feel like as we walk in what we're supposed to do, then we're going to get everything that we need in order to do what we need to do. Because the young people, they see through the crap. They see through all of that fake stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because they know when you're not real, baby, and they will tell you about it. That is for sure. That's true. But you're right, disseminating the information that you have that can change somebody's life just through talking to them and encouraging them and giving them the pearls of wisdom. That's what we got to do. We got to, I know money is important, but we have to also think about, people who are not at the same place as us. We need to reach that hand back and pull somebody up. And you can't charge them when you reaching your hand back to pull them up. When they get next to you and above you and past you, then, if it's something, yeah. But like she was saying, we have to pull each other up. We can't be always crabs in a barrel trying to, who's trying to be up at the top. Because the thing is that, I started from meager beginnings. I truly did. And, through my connections with people that I work with and I socialize with. And those are my cheerleaders. And we all need those cheerleaders, somebody that's going to be that person that when you feel your downness and you're at the lowest point of low, is going to come in and say, hey girl, you know what? Yeah, that happened, but you got to leave that alone, leave that back there and come up. Let's come up. Let's move on forward. What can you do about that? That's the past. There's nothing you can do about that. The only thing you can do is do better. That's the only thing you got to do. Either you can go back to that or you can do better. So I think, as Black women, that's why I feel like we have to do this for ourselves and our women community, and just having those tools out there. And that's why I was encouraging our little sister there to go ahead and put all that knowledge down and out. And at some point, yes, give it to those who can't afford it, but those who can afford it, put a monetary tag on it. Yes, definitely.
That's so.
I want to talk up. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, just to go back to what Katrina was saying. One of the reasons I went to the publisher that I went with, her name is Dr. Sonia, is because I was trying to write this book for years. I was saying I'm going to write a book, rather. It wasn't the one that I ended up writing, but she said to me, it's not about the money for me. I want you to tell your story. Mm-hmm. And that helped me, to go ahead and do it. And here's the thing, when I started selling books, I wanted to pay her because she had spent so much time encouraging me. So I think that, if we encourage, the money's going to come.
Yeah.
It's just that, yeah. So I think I love that you said that, Evangela, that we don't have to put this large price tag on something, because our people, we can't afford that.
Exactly.
But we just have to take care of each other. And then the ones who will, I'm telling you, I think they'll pay over $1,500, over $3,500.
Heck yeah.
I'd be thinking of ways to bless Sonia because of how she helped me to birth that vision.
Yep. So true.
We're talking about cheerleaders. And let me ask you about, who are your cheerleaders? Who have been your cheerleaders? And let me put a disclaimer out there. Our cheerleaders don't have to be traditional. God used an ass to speak to the man up in the Bible. Who are some of the people in your life? Society might say they were, because I believe there's good in everyone. Mm-hmm. And there's God in everyone, because I asked God, I said, what are my prayers? God, show me you, especially when it's somebody that I just want to, like, Lord, show me you in that person so I can learn how to deal with him. And go ahead. And he has really helped me through some difficult circumstances with difficult people.
Man.
So who are some of your cheerleaders who's been, especially when you from foster care?
I think for me, my children, when I started Trinity, they were, they actually went. And I was like, okay, you don't have to go here. You can go to a public school. You can do this. And at some point, my son told me, look, don't ask me that again. You're doing something and I'm going to be here. And so even when I get ready to give up now, they'll say, no, we're going to keep going. This is our business. This is what we're going to do, and it's been my family for me. And the problem with that, though, is they can encourage me, but I need someone who has been there so that I can go further, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But with them on my side, I haven't stopped. I just keep going no matter what's going on. So they're my major support team,
Wow.
Who else? Evangela. Who else wants to go?
This Miss Carla trying to blow her head up, y'all. But you are definitely one of my biggest cheerleaders. I pretty much when my life was on the line, you were there for me. So I know that, without a doubt, anything and everything you're gonna do and everything that's in you to do, I'm always be there for you too. But my biggest cheerleaders, I do have to say, is my family. My husband worked my nerve to the last bone, but he is one of my biggest cheerleaders.
Nothing about it. Don't say what.
So I got to fuss about your friend. But yeah, so I have a couple of other friends, even some of my parents here, I'm their cheerleader, they're my cheerleader. They want me to succeed just as much as I want them to succeed. And I appreciate that because I believe that, cheerleadership should be reciprocal, and I don't know, I pray every day for everybody, everything and everyone around me in life. Lord, bless them and bless the people that are in and around their life. I do that every single day, multiple times a day, because I want to be a spiritual cheerleader for those that can't advocate for themselves, because I know what it feels like, to not have the strength to pray for yourself. You just like, Lord, do it for me, so I know what that feels like. And so I try to, be the example of cheerleadership, even when I don't have have it in me or feel like I have it in me. I try, and I pray to have it in me so that I can have something to pour into, the next somebody. Now, most recently though, my family, my actual, like my birth family, they've become like, I won't necessarily say, cheerleaders, but they're like, good for you, that kind of thing. Like, now they're asking me questions and trying to figure out, how to do stuff. So I feel like we should live a life that, shows that we are blessed, so that we can, edify the glory that is God. So, I have to, that's not me, right? Yes, it is. Okay. But I feel like we should show that we are blessed and give credit where credit is due to the Most High, so that, he'll continue to bless us because we'll continue to give him credit. I have no clue how to turn this off. Do y'all hear this?
Yes. But that's okay. What I wanted you to talk about, when I say cheerleader, I wanted you to share about those who were there for you from the beginning when the journey was difficult. Being in foster care and being away from your all that you knew that was familiar to you, even reuniting with your mom, you always talk about their grandmother. There was nothing that your grandmother, and my grandmama loved me. I tell everybody that.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely the favorite. No arguments there. Yes. So, my grandmother, like I said, I try to leave, the legacy that she instilled in me, because my grandmother, she taught straight from the hip and straight from the Bible. If it wasn't a biblical principle, it didn't come past her lips. And so I feel like that's where a lot of the wisdom and knowledge and just who I am as a person outside of what I know intellectually, I feel like stems from her. She taught me patience. She taught me, perseverance. She taught me, how to forgive and forgive again. She taught me those things that built character, so that when I came up against obstacles, I was like, oh, okay, so this is what we're doing today. So pretty much my grandmama turned me into a Christian gangster. She was like, God got that. We good. We good over here. I like that. So, it's just the truth. Like, grandmama didn't play, grandmama couldn't do no wrong. but she definitely taught me to keep going. I mean, because like I said, I was in foster care. I didn't have my mom or my dad, and my grandmother taught me how to forgive them, how to nurture those relationships, and how to create a relationship that wouldn't drive me myself personally crazy, and how to cut people when they were no longer, serving the tree any value. Cut it off. Cut the fruit off, let it go and let it rot dead and let it turn into fertilizer because you don't need it for nothing else. And so, sometimes we just have people just draining on us like a rotten fruit on the tree. It's still draining the nutrients from the tree, but it's serving no purpose because it's not going to feed and nourish anybody. And sometimes we just got to let it go. And so she definitely taught me that. And there was a lot of things in my life growing through that I had to learn, how to let go, because I could be, the maddest Black woman on the planet, but she definitely pushed me. She definitely pushed me through. Grandmama has been until I remember having a performance, and my grandmother was the type, like, she didn't do my grandmother was a Jehovah's Witness, so she didn't do like the Christian performances. But we had like a Christmas performance, and nobody was coming for me, like nobody. Like I didn't have like the gown that I was supposed to have because it costs money, and the foster people ain't finna pay for nothing unless they getting paid for it. So, I didn't have the gown. So my chorale instructors, they got me the gown that I was supposed to have, and my grandmother popped up at the performance, and I was like, Grandmama, what you doing here? Because everybody know Grandmama did not celebrate Christmas, but what she did celebrate was life, and she did celebrate her children and her children's children. And so she definitely, even she taught me that whenever even though you're uncomfortable, you still show up for those people that you care about. And so that'll never leave me.
Wow.
Stop. We are not trying to cry on Facebook Live today.
I know. That's a very powerful story. I'm like, yes, it is. Yeah. I mean, just the tidbits that I've heard from you, Evangela, I really admire you as a woman, especially as a young woman. There's not many young women that can have the focus and drive that you do. You have a focus and a drive and a presence that is, you got an old spirit. That's what we say. It's an old spirit. But I think your intentions are amazingly, positive, and you're trying to make those changes. And my thing is, my charge for us is, how do we disseminate this down to the people who need it? Yes, we can come and talk about this and talk about that, but how do we get those people who need to hear this message in on these Facebook Lives? That's what we need to do. We need to, I think we've talked about it. We have a plan. We got somebody who has the information and the knowledge, and we just need to have the people who need to hear it in on this. And I'm sorry for changing the subject, Carla, about who mine are. My mom was my biggest cheerleader. I can truly say that because she, generational curse or whatever you want to call it. But my mom was like 15, 16 when she got pregnant with my brother, my oldest brother, and she married my dad. So kind of like when I look at my life kind of played out just like hers did. Me and my son's dad, my kid's dad got married, and we got divorced. Same thing about my parents. But the one thing I can say was my mom was always had my back no matter what. She was my biggest cheerleader. She was like, you know what? You can't let this one thing define the rest of your life. You just can't sit still. You got dreams. Because I always wanted to be a nurse. I always wanted to get out and travel and do things. And that was her dream, to travel. So, I took her dream and made it mine as far as traveling is concerned. But she was the one who pushed me to go ahead and go to school. And her thing was, you know what? I'll keep the baby if you're going to school. But if you're going to party, you gotta take your baby with you. Now that was her thing. And if my sister kept my son, then that meant that I had to pay her. We ain't giving out no free services here if you ain't doing something constructive. So it was a lot of times that I went to the club in my little raggedy car. My baby was in the back seat with the window down, sleep, and I was a parking lot hustler. Yeah, my girlfriend, she had a baby too, and one of us would go in and dance for a little while, and then the other one would go in, and we'd be like sitting out there, watching the children. But that's the thing. You make grown folks, you do grown folk things. You get those grown people responsibility, and you got to be that. You want to get out there and do that. That's what you got to do, and that's the one thing that my mom always taught me: be responsible for your people. And that's what I feel like we need to do, is disseminate this information down to our young women, because they are the ones that's coming up. They need this information. They need this guidance. They need cheerleaders. Some of them don't have cheerleaders. They feel like they don't have anybody they can talk to without them thinking like, oh, well, she just gonna go back and tell so-and-so and this, that, and that. No, it's truly from a genuine heart that we are giving them the information and trying to help. It's not anything sinister or negative behind the intention of what we're doing. Miss Carla, you're so quiet. You ain't saying that.
I was mute.
No, I'm talking about Miss Odom.
Oh, Carla Odom. I was coming for her next. I'm coming for Carla next. Go ahead.
For me, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
For me, my cheerleaders are my 3 daughters, and my mom. My mom lived a totally sheltered life, and she married the first man, that she met. So her and my dad are still together, but I kind of live my life the way I wish she could live her life, because she hasn't lived her life. She's just been married to the same person and been through the same stuff. And I make sure I don't live my life the same way that she does, as far as the relationship she has, with my dad and stuff. I can't go through all that stuff, with a man, but I respect her, because that's a choice that she made, and I can't do anything about that, but I can live my life differently and make sure my daughters live their life differently.
Yeah.
Karima, what about you? I see you're mute, and you also your video is off. Who's your cheerleader?
Well, I guess you're gonna put me out there. My video is off because my hair does not look that proper.
It's okay. We're all women. We ain't looking at you like that.
I got my little blue light glasses on, so I guess for me, growing up, I would say that I had a lot of cheerleaders, but I feel like when you look, well, I'm only 33, so when I look back to like my younger years, I feel like I had cheerleaders around me that I really didn't know were my cheerleaders. Because sometimes you have people who say things to you that you interpret as being from a negative standpoint, or they don't like you when they're just probably trying to push you where they want to see you go. So I feel like I had a lot of cheerleaders, but my main cheerleaders like my family, my grandmother, my mom, my aunts. I've been around a lot of strong Black women that I've seen struggle to do what they need to do for their family. And I take their attributes and what I've seen them go through, and I interpret it in a positive way for my life. But my grandmother, I feel like, I've seen her wake up every morning and make me breakfast when I was going to school. Even though, she used to come to my school with her 3-wheel bike and embarrass the hell out of me. And everybody, my grandmother with this damn 3-wheel bike was famous. But, that was just her love, and how she gonna make sure that she was there for her kids, and make sure that she was there for her grandkids, and she made sure she was there for her great-grand. So I feel like, my grandmother's she sometimes she didn't know how to say she loved you, but she showed you that she loved you in her different actions. And my mom, my mom is my biggest cheerleader. Even now, we fight, we argue, but I know that she wants the best for me at the end of the day. And then I also have one of my cheerleaders on the Zoom. Carla is my aunt, literally. And so she made me start my YouTube channel. So thanks to her, I finally have like 200 subscribers, and I post weekly on a Friday for my YouTube channel. So, and then she also wants me to do my makeup line. So I've been focusing on making my lip gloss and doing different things and getting into crafting. And I got my little Pinterest like thing, and I have my Cricut. So I make a lot of different things. So everybody is basically my cheerleader. So yeah, that's my story. I'm going to take my love and go back to silent mode.
Where's your mother?
Karima, do you remember me?
I do. I do. Do you remember me?
I remember when she was a little girl.
Hey, right, look, girl, I ain't no more. I'm not little no
That goes
more.
for all of us, dear.
Right. Right. My mom is in her bed. She actually has to go to work for like 2 o'clock in the morning. So she's not here listening. But let's see. Let's see if Camille's.
And thank you. Well, while you go look for her, we're gonna go ahead and let Miss Curtis share.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, girl, you got to share. We all did it. No, you can't share.
So I think my biggest supporters, sorry, that's my dog. I think my biggest supporters is my G-mom, because like, I don't know, because like from the start, she was just always been there. And then when I told her that I was starting this business, she was like on go, like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that, you need to do this. She was constantly on me. And when we lost my mom, she stood up and she was like, hey, this and that needs to be done. You get on it. You have a child now. Like, let's go. And then my other supporter is Miss Childs. Like, I'm up there with her almost every day, literally. And she's nonstop on me about getting my business together. And now I have to get my business cards and everything else. And with her help, I got like all of my products and everything in, because she won't leave me alone. Like, she will not get off my back. She's like, like the little itch you can't get right there on your back. That is Miss Child. She will not get off my back with the business. And so that's exactly what I'm doing now, is doing some of my products. But I think those two are my main supporters, of course, besides my fiance.
Well, thank you for sharing. I understand what you said about Miss Childs. I tell you. Ooh, that's all I can say. When she tells me what to do, I had to do it then, because she will remind me a year later. And when I say, well, show me proof. And she knows what I mean when I say, show me proof. Let me hear it. But I'm grateful.
You're on mute, I think, Carla.
Girl, I was having a long conversation with myself. I just want to say, I think everyone on this, and I don't know Miss Curtis personally, has been a cheerleader to me. When I look back and I sit down and I think, and you always hear me talk about my grandmother. I was born the day after her birthday, so she always tell everybody, they said, like, look, what'd you get for your birthday? She said she got a gift. She got a baby a grandbaby, a granddaughter rather, and that she had waited 60 years for this granddaughter. And just like Evangela shared, my grandmother poured into me. She made me the woman, you know, God used her to introduce me to him. And because of how I reverence God, I saw God at an early age. But she saw the independent spirit when, because you know, with me, you have to either love me or hate is a strong word. You had to either take me or leave me. And I had a very independent, strong spirit even back then. And my grandmother fostered that independence. She fostered the gifts that she shared, that she saw in me. But you know, always been surrounded by strong women, like Karima said, by my mom, you know, in her adventurous spirit, leaving Trinidad to go to the United States. My godmother, women in the community who fed us, and I mean, I'm literally the woman I am. My love for the community is because of these women. Fast forward, and I was talking about Katrina the other day. I was just sharing how when I got sick, you came to the house. 2 nights ago on Friday, you came to the house and you told me, girl, I couldn't come up the steps. I left all the food down here, but I just couldn't come up your steps. So, you know, there's, you know, for my coworkers, God has always put women in my life. Angels, men too has helped me, but he has always placed women, no matter where I've been in my journey, in my life, to help me get from point A to B to C to D. And then I have a lot of young cheerleaders, people way younger than me. Like I tell my kids, I got cheerleaders that's 21, 22. Well, now they're getting kind of old because they're like 30 and 31. So I gotta find me some young friends. But I'm saying all of this to say everyone on this call here has encouraged me, has pushed me. I remember Evangela calling me and giving me, this is what you need to do, an outline for a book. The book is done now, you know, from Pain to Purpose, but she gave it different names. She had already sectioned it into sections and all of this kind of stuff, you know. And then she got mad because I didn't follow along the way it was supposed to be. But you know what? I do her the same thing now. I do her the same thing. Okay, so but I must say today, I would be remiss if I wouldn't talk about my 4 cheerleaders. You know, my daughter, my son, my daughter, my son. My 2 daughters are some of my biggest cheerleaders. I ain't gonna lie, they ain't on here. You better not say nothing. You know, they get on my nerve too. Y'all know I'm gonna be honest. They get on my last nerve, but they spoil me. They say I'm spoiled. Y'all know I am spoiled.
Yes, you are.
Spoiled. But I thank God for that. All of y'all spoiled me. Every last one. If I ask Katrina, could she cook something for me, I'm gonna get it. If I tell you I need so and so and I cry long enough, I'm gonna get it. Okay. But you know, it's about having that relationship. My sister thought everything that I did was the best. The bomb, oh Lord have mercy. And see one of my cheerleaders right here, the youngest one, 3 years old. She's like, you're the best oomsies ever. But she only say that to me when she wants something. Or if I just did something for her that she really likes. She can say that now. But I just think that I can tell you at least 100 women. I may be exaggerating, and I've always been around, I've worked with, that God has brought across my path that has been a blessing to me, and I try to be a blessing to everyone. I'm not perfect. Like I said, there's some I had to learn to recognize when I can help you and when I can't help you. And we can't help everybody, honestly. We can't be a blessing. God gives us assignments, and that person may not be my assignment. And I've learned it a whole lot, especially as a nurse. Like, Katrina, you may want to go take that patient down there because you may be able to help her. I can't help her. Yeah. Because, I'm going to have to put her. So, but I'm so glad that you brought up an excellent topic. And then this is where we're trying to get to the point where how can we reach the next generation? How can, and I feel like, you know, for me, is keep doing what we're doing, getting out there and exposing ourselves. And I'm sure my Evangela Childs can evangelist can tell me step by step. No, I mean she's really been really good as it relates to where I need to be in a whole lot of stuff. And we all balance each other out. Like Carla, I'm gonna call Carla out because I'm waiting on Carla. Carla had some homework. I'm still waiting on Carla for her homework. It's been 2 months.
I have it. I just haven't been at work, but I do have it in my folder. I'm gonna show it to you tomorrow.
Yeah, Katrina, don't hide. Don't hide, Katrina. Don't hide because you too.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, Carla. I'm gonna do it.
So we have to be accountability partners. At the same time, we have to encourage and cheer each other on and truly be glad when we see our sister win.
True.
You know, how we have to be really sincere about it. And that means, and that may mean you go and talk to the God, look, God, you know what, when she called me, she told me so and so, I felt, you know, blah, 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 blah. Lord, I need you to help me. I need you to help me really care and be, you know, grateful that my sister won. No, Zara, that's enough. Girl, you just got beat. You're gonna get beat again. Yeah. I apologize.
It's okay.
So one of the things I wanted to do was if you guys can just share, Miss Curtis, just share your contact information for me so we can reach out to you. I'm actually thinking about actually going doing a lot of Instagram lives. E.
Okay.
Unmute yourself.
Okay.
I can send you my information.
Okay. Evangela knows how to get in contact with me.
Yes.
And what kind of products do you have? What are you doing with your products?
I'm making bath bombs and lip scrub.
Bath bombs and lip gloss?
Lip scrub.
Lip scrub. Oh, that's different.
Oh, it's good too. If you've never used one, Carla, it makes your lips feel so good. It just gets that dead skin off. Especially like wintertime. You know how your lips get real chapped? And just rub, oh, it's really good.
Yeah, I need some. Do you have any samples? You got your website yet? What you got going? You got your Instagram?
Oh, we on them.
Instagram.
You said what now?
We on them.
Yes.
Okay.
He's on my butt like crazy.
Well, I need to see it. So that way, you know, I can order some. So,
okay. My website will be up in about a month.
Okay.
Probably sooner because Miss Childs will not leave me alone. But here's some of my product that I'm doing.
Okay.
I'm still like in the process of like making some.
Do you have containers? What your containers look like? You have a finished product?
Here's some of my containers.
Oh, those are cute. Karima, those are nice. It's different. What's the name of your business?
Me and my fiance, the name of our business is Cyclone Nectar.
Type it in. You typing it in?
Yes.
Turn on the light and leave it on. Thank you.
Well, while she's typing that in, I just wanted to say that, you know, I don't even remember who posed the question of how we, yes, I do, Miss Katrina, how do we keep these You know, what do we do
Absolutely.
about bringing forth the legacy and passing it on, and how do we get that message out? You know, I mean, I intentionally created a business to do just that. And I feel like, you know, no matter what type of business we create, because I mean, I have a childcare business, you know, and I mean, of course, I have a business coaching business as well. You know, that's just more of a direct thing. But when I thought about my business model for, you know, childcare, I thought about intentionally helping parents to develop legacies. And I did that, you know, on purpose so that I could pass that information on, you know, and I'm very proud of them to say that they've all started, you know, their business journey. We just had 3 parents last week, you know, officially have their LLC. And I mean, just it's just those little milestones that they keep adding on to and building on, and they're getting their, you know, it's just like the exposure to different mindsets and to a different way of being. You know, I had one parent that it never crossed her mind to start a business, you know, but she had multiple talents, just neither one of them was, you know, a business venture for her. It never crossed her mind to turn it into a business. And now she has a full-blown publishing company, you know, and she just wrote, you know, out of habit, you know, just that was just her outlet, her spiritual outlet. You know, she just poured her emotions on paper. And now she has a publishing company where she writes poetry and she helps other writers develop their poetry. And I just feel like, you know, the Bible says that, you know, our gift will make room for us. And sometimes we sleep on our gift because we don't recognize it as a gift. I ask God daily, what is my gift? Because sincerely, y'all don't laugh at me, but I sincerely do not know. I'm like, do I have too many gifts and I just can't iron one out because I'm a little ADHD? I'm just saying. So,
sometimes that's not a bad thing, though.
I'm just saying.
Sometimes you just gotta rein one main one in, and then take the other side ones, you know, a little at a time, because you will get overwhelmed. I know I've been burned out by doing stuff too much of everything, and that's why Carla hadn't got what she wants, because I got too much other stuff going.
You see how she threw that in there, Miss Carla?
Yes, I have to. And the other thing, Evangela, you know, people think that for you to get your LLC, you need an attorney. You don't. And you know, we have been so misled. Those are things that you can just go to wherever state you are, go to the your state commerce and get the paperwork, fill it out. It's not hard, and send it back in with the money.
You know, you can do it online. You can do it online.
Yes.
You can do that stuff. That's, you know, and you so right about that. That's just basic knowledge, basic information. But
that's the stuff that's gonna be in Miss Evangela's book. See, that kind of stuff right there, that quick and easy right there. Those are the things that they need to know, that you don't have to have an attorney for everything.
Yeah, like I know there's a lot of people that were telling me, oh, I didn't know that I didn't have to pay for my EIN number. It's people that have a whole business based off of charging people for developing the EIN.
Yes.
Like, we're not doing that today. Let me show you this. Click, click, click. There your EIN. Like, what are we doing?
That's all. That's all.
That is it.
So, but when you talk about your gifts and talents, sometimes people can recognize, other people can recognize your gifts and talents, Evangela. We're not gonna have this conversation tonight. And you know, I'm glad that you spoke on it, because I know that the Legacy, A Legacy Learning Academy is more than just the early childhood education center. The premise is helping children and helping families. And I know of, you know, the things that you are doing and then how you want to elevate in the community, you know, how you want to elevate the community. And we didn't really talk about that, but I'm glad that you mentioned some of the things that you're doing. Because, you know, when people think that, oh, that's just like La Petite Academy, or different, you know, different franchises and stuff like that. But I really love your innovative approach to changing community. And that right there, it ain't come from nowhere else but from God.
one time.
Yep.
Nowhere else. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about the vision. There's one vision that God has given you, that is up and running and moving. And you have a testimony right here in Miss Curtis. Just one person. I mean, if you mentioned some other things to me. It is now 6:57, guys. Any last words y'all want to close? One of the things I've been actually thinking about moving probably to Instagram and maybe changing the platform to Instagram, but I know we have to build up Instagram as well. But when you talk about a legacy learning, when you talk about I am legacy, I also want to talk about the Born Educators Academy, because that's the reason why we're doing the kitchen table conversation. As nurse educators, nurse bosses, you know, one of the things that we were taught as nurses, we were taught that it was just bedside nursing. But as nurses, we can do so much more stuff. I had a conversation with a nurse, a young nurse, probably about 3 years out, on Friday. She said she hated what she did, what she's doing. And I'm like, there's so many things that you can do besides bedside nursing. So it's taking my talent, my purpose, and which is educating women and chill girls about health and wellness in the community. You know, having webinars, having conversations like this, having, you know, doing Zoom, teaching others, just like you are instructing others. You know, starting a business, I had to learn that by myself. It was by trial and error. Even publishing a book, because when you went to some of the publishers, the girl told me $3,000. $3,000 for what? And you know, you and I shared that, you told me, this is what you need to do, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, wait a minute. You know I can't be writing that fast. So those are some of the things that we have to educate others on. You know, people think, well, you're a nurse, but that I'm just limited because I'm a nurse. But no, I have had to experience different things, and I had to learn how to do it by trial and error. I didn't know how to do PowerPoint. I didn't know how to use Word, Publisher, any of that stuff, even Canva. And, you know, even, you know, we had the journals out that we've done, and I think it's next week we're supposed to meet.
11.
Hello? You said what?
11.
Oh,
11.
We're supposed to meet and talk about releasing some more journals. So we know a little, you know, whatever knowledge that we have, definitely we're open to share. And that's why we're all here today.
Yep.
What?
So the closing words, everybody?
Thank you for including me. I really enjoyed this. This is my Sunday, yay. It starts my week off.
I thank you too for including me, because I would have been sitting here like I usually do.
You know, I want to add one thing. This is for everybody on here. I don't know how Ms. Curtis is, but one of the things you know, you're never too old to learn. We got to be balanced. And I'm gonna just share a testimony. My focus was work. And then for release, I will work on the business, just writing all of this stuff, doing all of this stuff, setting it up until someone asked me, well, what do you do for fun? I couldn't tell them. The kids will invite me to come and go, let's go to the park, let's go. Nah, I gotta drive to y'all to meet y'all, and then I gotta walk to the place. Nah. So I'm saying all of that to say is that we gotta be balanced. We gotta put aside time to read, do whatever it takes. You know, even if it's a staycation.
Yep.
I realized I just been like just one side, just leaning to the side, then gained all this weight. So now I had to walk my way back to healthy, not just physically, but everything.
Mentally, yeah. Yep. I'm on that same journey, that weight loss journey, because you know, what I realized is when I went to the doctor, abnormal EKG, this, that, and the other, and I'm like, okay, I ain't going out like that.
I'm
not going out like that. So guess what? I had to make my mind up that I'm gonna lose this weight. And I started Monday and I'm already down 10 pounds.
All right now. Go ahead, girl.
Yes. And, it's just writing down what I eat every day, and I'm doing noon. So, just looking at what I'm eating, it doesn't limit what you can eat. You can eat anything you want to, but when you get to your calorie cap, then that's it. It's pushed me to drink more water, to get up and walk, make sure I got my steps in for the day, doing this, doing that, and it has really helped. And I mean, I really have, that was the only thing, is just putting my food in and my water, and it tracks my steps through my phone and my watch. So, it's really pushing me to make that conscious effort like I used to be. I actually, Carla, when I told you that I couldn't make the meeting on time, I went to pick up my bike.
Go ahead, girl.
That was my goal today, was to pick up that bike so I can put my butt on it and get the, I gotta get, I gotta get back into it.
I gotta get that bike. I've been lollygagging. I've done so many things this week. I said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and order the bike. I didn't. So I'm gonna do that tonight. Tonight. You look tired.
I guess the thing is self-care. We got to do a little bit of self-love every once in a while, because
no. Not once in a while, girl. We got to practice some form of self-love every day.
Every day.
Okay. Every day. Every day.
All right, I'm gonna try it.
All right, Miss E.
Well, I just wanted to reiterate how important it is to share information and share it freely. I'm gonna tell y'all this last little quick story and then I'm gonna be done. So and so because I just feel like the haves and the have nots is just a separation between information. I went to go, and because I usually don't do the pickup route, like I usually don't go pick nobody's child up, but I just so happened to, like, this past week or two, and I went to go pick up some of my fairer friends' children, and I was just driving through they're driving up to the school, and like my spirit was instantly conflicted, and not because it was something wrong. They didn't do anything wrong, but they do advocate for theirs. And I just feel like it's just so different driving up to the last school that we had went to for, our brown babies, going up to their school, had, like, I kid you no lie, this street had 10 speed bumps. And I was like, we are never getting to these children's school. But to see that level of protection that they have for their children, and then when you go to ours, it's legit not one. Not one speed bump. And I'm like, this is the same, the schools in the same city. Like I joke all the time, there's nothing in my city that is not 15 minutes away in any direction. So for them to have that level of advocacy for their community, because that's all it was. Somebody said, hey, we need these speed bumps and y'all need to get out here, or we gonna stop paying taxes. And then somebody said, hey, cut the check, And so that's the same thing we need to do, but we don't know how. Like, if I want to get a pothole fix, who I'm calling? Who do I call to get a pothole fix? Like, who do I do that? And those type of things. It's not that. And then I hear, people in different or affluent communities, they say, oh, well, they don't care about their community. No, they're just ill-informed on how to affect change.
How to make it different. Exactly.
Yeah. And I feel like we need to share that information. Who do we talk to get the street light fixed? Who do we talk to get the potholes fixed? How do we hold them accountable to getting it done? Because these elected officials get in these offices and then they do nothing.
Yep. And they're collecting our tax dollars just like they are Susie homemakers.
They are. So their payroll check do not stop.
Level of involvement in our communities. And the thing is that we have to advocate for our own communities, because that's what they've done. If you had somebody a near miss, a place needed a stoplight, or like you said, Evangela, speed bumps, somebody went down there and raised hell at City Hall to get it done. And they listen. But that's, and you know, that's, oh, don't get me started on that. A lot of it is because when they see our face, they turn off their ears. They don't hear us. They listen, but they don't hear us. They don't hear what we're saying. They listening and they like, uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. It's just like a trance, like an automatic response, but they don't really hear what we're saying. And that translates into how things happen in healthcare too. So that's my biggest thing, is dismantling this structural racism, especially around birth equity and maternal child health. So that's my flag that I'm flying right now, girl. I'm like all over it. And I'm gonna invite y'all to my to our symposium in April, so y'all can be a part of that too, because I really want you to hear it, because it has some really good stuff. And we have a psychologist, Saida Pepra. She's gonna be talking about generational stress in Black women. Come on, Evangela. I'm gonna give you a free ticket, baby. You ain't gotta pay a doggone thing. I need that. Okay, generational stress.
Yep. You know, it's funny that you all are talking about that, because I always say, you know, a lot of the ailments are just fruits of the spirit when it's in disorder and it's when it's unhealthy. You know, you die. I've noticed, and I'm a weirdo, so I notice weird stuff. And so I noticed, you know, a lot of women, when they die of heart attacks, how painful, you know, how or emotional their life was, and how they died of that. Or like sometimes women went through tragic things and, you know, they die of Alzheimer's, you know, or they die of some type of, or they have Alzheimer's as an illness, you know, and that's just, I feel like that's just the spirit manifesting those ailments that we don't deal with. So I feel like the spiritual conversation is a conversation that we have to have, and it directly impacts health. It directly impacts health. So generational.
That's a whole different. That's a whole different topic.
And I ain't trying to hold Miss Carla call.
No, but I'm just saying, you're right. You're right. That is so true. That's so true.
Speaking, you know,
but that's just it's just so happens to be like things that are severely noticing. That generational stress is a real thing. Like I feel like generational stress is the Black women and men biggest health issue.
Yes.
And you know, they said it's hereditary. It's definitely hereditary, and it calls for us to speak in, addressing that, and then dismantling and getting rid of it.
Yep.
And this is why it's so important that, again, it brings you full circle, getting the information out, getting the word out.
Yep. So, okay. So ladies, you'll be getting an invite for the symposium. It's April the 24th. It's on a Saturday. It's about 4 hours of your Saturday morning, and afternoon for y'all, because we're going to start at like 9:30 in the morning. But yeah, I really want y'all to be a part of that, so you can hear what we're talking about. The speaker, one of the speakers from Atlanta, Lachey, is going to be speaking first. So if you can survive Lachey's speech, then you can do anything, because that sister is like all over.
Is she pregnant, Katrina? Is she pregnant?
No, that's her daughter, her oldest daughter. Yeah. So they had the baby shower yesterday. Yeah. So you know, I think that's getting to the root of what our I don't know if you would call them it's not a weakness, but it is a contributing factor to why things are happening to us the way they are when it comes to our health and our mental health. It definitely has something to do. It plays a really big role in how we adapt and how our bodies are adapting to what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
No, that mental health conference on Saturday, last Saturday.
Ooh, that was so good. Oh my God, that was so good. My God.
It made me it took me to another level. One thing it brought up in me was that I never dealt with the trauma of my first pregnancy.
Yes. Birth trauma is real, baby.
Yeah, I never dealt with that trauma. I mean, I've written about it. I think that was a speech, that was my topic to get into grad school, but I never really talked about it and how it made me feel. But I'm glad that with my second pregnancy, I was sent to someone. I had no prenatal care, and I'm done. But I was sent to someone who cared about Black women, that listened to my story, believed me, and helped.
Yes. Yep.
Because I'm a previous C-section, and it wasn't just it was a classical up and down. It wasn't a transverse, no prenatal care, because I ain't going back to the doctor forever because of that traumatic experience.
Yes.
9 months pregnant.
And something to help scrape that crap off the floor that she leaves.
No, but anyway,
crazy.
I love y'all.
Love you too.
Don't forget this is the Born Educators Academy. We're born educators. God created us on such a time on purpose for this, to educate each other. He put us all in relationships. And that's always been my prayer. Lord, connect me to the right relationships, the right resources, so we can do what we have been called to do, walk in our purpose. Carla?
Yes.
Don't let her intimidate you.
I won't.
Don't let her do it.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. We're gonna be all right, ladies. We're gonna get this thing done and we're gonna be okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All right, Steve,
Yeah.
go get some rest, y'all. I can see it in your face.
I'm
She's
overdone.
tired.
I'm overdone, but she do have 6 kids. Give me credit, okay? Just saying.
Woo.
You said
My
what?
hat's off to you, baby, because my son
I
got
know that's
6.
right. Ooh.
My hat's off to you. I couldn't do it. There's no way. I look at my son and his tribe and I be like, how do you get all, and all of them at right now at homeschooling, except for the oldest one, she's 24.
Oh my God, I would
All
be
of them
crazy.
at home. She got 5 at home.
No, girl. They could have had the house.
Yeah.
Like, y'all want the house? Go on.
But you know how Steve is. Steve don't play that. Steve don't play that. He come in there. I need to see everybody's homework. I need to see the schoolwork and the this, that, and the other, and who had the dishes tonight. I mean, it's like a military base up in there.
That's how you gonna be. See, that's why you gotta have kids when you're young. Because when you get to my age, I'm just gonna get in the house.
No,
When I was
I'm
younger,
good.
yeah.
No,
But
because I'm
now-
getting ready to lay down now because I'm sleepy.
Girl, I'm waiting
Me
for the
too.
plane to land. Once that plane land and they text landed and they get into the house, girl, go out there, go your mama.
You're so crazy.
Look, I'm getting in my room and close the door. I'm putting the lock on. And people get
Girl, that's
mad. Why you gotta lock the door? Because it's my house. No, this is our house.
That's mine.
I'm in mine now, honey. The door is closed. I just
Where
need to get up
where's
and
he
lock
at?
it when we get off, huh?
Oh,
Still in
where's
the
he
office?
at?
Still in the office?
He in there in his room. You see, he come rolling up in here talking about, I just want to say hi to the ladies. I'm like, boy, go away from me. With his little naked self. He come home every day, and no lie, he go upstairs, and when he come back down, he ain't got on nothing but his underwear. And that's every day. Every day. He does. I mean, that's his attire. That's his home attire. But he got it honest. I must say that. Huh?
You know, when you walk through the door, you start taking out the bra. You start, I do that. I ain't gonna lie.
I guess that's where he got it from.
I guess so, girl. I guess so. All right, y'all.
All right, dear ladies. It's
So
good seeing y'all.
I'm gonna text you.
Okay, love.
All right.
All right, y'all
Bye.
have a good rest of your day.
All right, y'all. Bye, Carlos.
All right.
I'll see you tomorrow,
Bye.
Carla. God's willing.
Okay.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye, Miss Curtis.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, nigga must eat right there. Look at her. Miss Evangela. She don't call you as much, huh? Come on, who that? That's Miss Evangela.
Hey, baby.
Oh, dang.